All right. Welcome to Thought Cops, coming to you live from the mean streets of Neo Chicago. I am Officer Kevin.
Pew, pew, pew. I'm Officer Grant.
How's it going, Grant?
It's going. Hey, do y'all have green squirt guns on your show? With us is Ben Flores and Sarah Black of the new hit podcast, CrimeWatchers. Did I get the name right?
You sure
That's
did.
right. It's called CrimeWatchers. It's hosted by Kent Montagna and Piper Beckett. That's me and Sarah. We you want me to say more about it? You got it right.
Yeah,
right.
You can.
That's what it is.
Go off king, as they say.
That's
a different show.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Sarah, go on.
It's a in the vein of all of our favorite podcasts lately, it's a rewatch podcast of a beloved show.
And those are quite popular now.
Yeah,
Right.
They're really popular. So we
You got
decided
one
to cash in.
for The Office. You got Angela and Pamela. It's Pam, but when you think about it, it's Pamela. When you really
think about the word,
that's
the
funny
name Pam.
because it's a lot like Angela.
Mhm.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Angela, Pamela, Sandra, and Rita.
If you were
And
to
as I continue,
yeah,
it would get sweeter.
it would have to.
Yeah, no choice but to get sweeter.
You get the OC. They're doing one.
Right.
You got the
A lot of those
Scrubs
a lot of those like
Scrubs
CW shows I feel like are doing recap.
They're not just doing OC; they're also doing Laguna Beach.
Right.
Is
Yeah,
Laguna
Scrubs
Beach an
guys.
OC spinoff?
Well, Laguna Beach, I think, was initially like posited as the real OC. Like the OC
Is
was
Laguna
so popular.
Beach a reality show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
okay.
The Hills was a spinoff of Laguna Beach. That's where like Kristen Cavallari got famous. Lauren Conrad.
Lauren
Yeah.
Conrad.
That was all their like initial reality show. Anyway,
One time I was in a grocery store and I was in a grocery store. I was checking out the woman behind the
All right.
grocery lane, the checkout lady. What's she called? Cashier. The cashier. She's like, you look like Spencer Pratt. And I was like, I didn't know who that was.
that's so rude.
Yeah, that's pretty offensive.
I do
Okay,
though.
you kind of do.
I do. I didn't know who that was, but and I was with my wife at the time, and this was many years ago, but like
Your current wife, but it was at this time.
yeah, I don't think we might be.
I didn't want to ask, but I was like, wait a second, hold on.
He said I was with my wife at the time.
Yeah, that's like somebody would say about their ex, like my girlfriend at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was my wife at the time. She was not my wife at the time. I was with a woman at the time who was not my. I was with a woman at the time in this grocery store who was not my wife, and
Little did she know.
But the cashier, and she stops and she calls this other woman over and she goes like, call the lady Monica or whatever. She goes like, Monica, don't you look like Spencer Pratt? And she comes over and she's like, oh my God, he does.
That's so mean. Did this
Everybody
happen
was
in
looking at
Chicago?
me. No.
Got it.
Happened in somewhere else, Boston or something.
Well, fuck.
My city at the time.
Little did she know. I've done whole classes on Little Did She Know.
Well, speaking
Y'all ever seen that movie with Will
That's from
Ferrell?
Stranger Than Fiction.
Yes.
Oh.
Thank you.
That's a line
Speaking
from
of
Stranger
Chicago,
Than
though,
Fiction.
Indicated. Yes.
Great
Ben,
movie. Didn't make any money.
you were our last guest pre-COVID.
Really?
That's true.
It was before.
Oh my
I
God,
think so.
I remember. Yeah.
It was right before you moved to LA, and we had you in person in Chicago. And it was like, oh, this is so fun to podcast in person, which is something we couldn't do for maybe like a year and a half afterwards. And we would always reference like, yeah, it was the Limitless Jest episode that was the nail in the coffin for podcasting in person.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was in like what? In like March 2020 or something?
Yeah, I believe so.
Probably like
March or February. Yeah.
March 12th. Because I think it was the 17th. I think it was on St. Patrick's Day when I went to work and they were like, go home.
Yeah, because it was a couple days before that the whole the NBA and Tom Hanks and all that stuff was.
So I actually have a timeline of this, and it relates to
a lot of people do.
Yeah. So Ben and I recorded an episode of our critically acclaimed beloved podcast, now defunct, called Please Save Me.
Our podcast at the time.
Our podcast at the time.
Right.
And we did it in person. We would do it in my living room. And Ben, I don't know if you remember this. You probably do, because I probably have brought it up since. But we were recording, and then we heard a weird sound coming from my bathroom. And you were like, you probably should turn off like the water line.
There's a guy in there dying of COVID?
No.
Okay, right.
There's just a weird sound, and we turned off the water line, and I called my landlord and I said, there's a weird sound coming from the bathroom. Something with the plumbing is screwed up. And he goes, okay. And I said, I can't use the shower or the toilet.
I remember this.
Do you have somewhere else to stay? And I was like, what if I didn't? Fortunately, my boyfriend was out of town in Indianapolis for work.
Boyfriend at the time, right? And
boyfriend at the time and currently.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Past, present, and future all converging.
My future boyfriend and I at the time. I had keys to his place, and he was out of town. And I went over, and in the middle of the night, I got the stomach flu. I got a stomach virus. I was puking constantly for like 3 days. And in the midst of this, Mike got sent home early from this work trip because of like things starting to get dicey. Like the Big Ten tournament was supposed to be in Indy, and it got canceled. And like everybody was like heading out, coming back. He stopped at Walgreens. Everybody was buying tons of toilet paper and like paper towels and stuff. And he got me a ginger ale. He came home, and okay, so
ginger ale is not really medicine.
But I love the stuff. I can't get enough.
Well, the fake news will tell you that it is, but we all know the truth. It's actually
got COVID,
just pop.
I rubbed ginger ale all over my body.
You know, I saw that the world's oldest woman died. She was some kind of nun in Italy or something, you know?
In France, I think. Or was it Italy?
Wow.
And, what's the difference?
What's the difference? Romance languages. She, you got to wonder if she was drinking ginger ale.
I mean, that's what I was thinking.
So, okay, I'm almost done with this story. Okay, so a couple days pass. We decide, okay, we're going to be in this for a couple of weeks. I'm going to go home. I'm going to get like a duffel bag with more clothes because I had gone there thinking I'd be there for one night. I go back to my apartment. I walk in. It reeks so bad. It smells the worst anything's ever smelled in my life. I go into the bathroom, and the bathtub is full of sewage, human shit, dirt, grime, all this stuff. Basically what had happened was a tree root had grown into the pipes in our backyard, and I lived on the first floor, so everything came up into my bathroom. And that was the last time I ever was in that apartment.
Because then you moved out. I moved out. COVID happened. You stayed at your boyfriend's place
and just ended up moving in there.
You're just like, I'm just going to leave it like that. It would have been pretty cool if you come back. The landlord was dead in the bathroom, though. If that was, it smelled horrible. It was the worst I ever smelled. This story ends with the landlord was dead in there.
And then he was gone.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It would have been cool. It would have been better than the version of the story I told.
I'm hearing
my landlord at the
Werner Herzog, voiceover about the tree root growing around the.
Yeah, you could have. You could have just lied too.
I would have believed it.
Yeah.
Well, my next story, I will.
Next time,
Sarah, next podcast you're on, just tell the story, spice it up a little bit, and nobody will be any of the wiser.
I'll put a little.
No one's going to listen to this.
Maybe his name's not Mike. Maybe it's Michelle. Or
oh yes, my boyfriend Michelle.
Michelle, and then you can connect it with the nun thing. She's from France. You can bring the ginger ale thing in. You can take that whole bit that we did, but you can make it your own. And because we're developing. You take all the bits we did, and you just build them right in there.
Yeah.
And ginger.
My landlord was
really
Spencer Pratt.
Yeah.
My landlord was Spencer Pratt, by the way.
With his flesh-colored beard, I remember. I used to watch a lot of the...
that's the big difference there between us.
Yeah. I used to watch a lot of The Soup starring Joel McHale, and he always used to make jokes about the flesh-colored beard. That was the only reason I knew about a lot of these TV shows, is because I watched The Soup, and I was like, I don't know what Laguna Beach or the OC are, but... I certainly like this guy that looks a lot like Jeff Winger from Community, telling these jokes about these crazy people.
I love
a couple.
It was great.
A couple of those back to back, you can make a meal out of it,
or just one big bowl of it.
One big bowl. Speaking of one big bowl, so y'all have moved out of Chicago, and now you're living in Miami. Is that accurate?
Well, it's half accurate. Piper Beckett is living in Miami.
Right.
But the show Crimestoppers Miami was actually filmed in
Crimestoppers or Crime Watch?
The podcast is called CrimeWatchers.
Yeah.
The podcast is called CrimeWatchers, and it is a rewatch show of Crimestoppers Miami.
That's why I have both written down on the Google Doc here. I'm
you wrote it down right.
It's
we got to get it so that the thought cop. What do we call your listeners? The
we don't know.
Suspects.
The deputies.
We say deputies. It's been 6 years.
Lovers.
We haven't decided yet.
Okay, I'm going to call them the suspects.
Piglets.
They are sus.
Piglets is good.
Piglets is good. Yeah.
How come no one's ever brought that up before? That's fantastic.
Because we are too stupid.
You're pro-police. You're a pro-police crowd, and you guys don't think in terms of.
You guys don't think
anti-police language.
We got our brains. We got our mentality stuck back in 1984.
Oh, have I got a book for you?
Sometimes it feels like that's where our whole world is actually time traveled back to.
Either that or into the Matrix.
But when we are actually
what's the difference?
Our podcast CrimeWatchers, it feels like we have time traveled back to the early 2000s because that's when our show Crimestoppers Miami was on the air. It was
what a time it was.
Oh, it was a hit network classic 2000s show. Miami, cocaine was in the air. Everybody was wearing dazzling bright suits and dancing at jazz clubs. And Crimestoppers Miami was filmed, like a lot of shows are actually these days, in Toronto for Miami.
Right.
Because of sort of a tax situation as well as a legal situation with me, where I wasn't allowed to be stateside. So Kent Montana, that's me. I'm still, my character in CrimeWatchers, he's still been living up in Toronto on set, on one of the defunct sets from the show.
Like living on the actual set.
Yeah, like sort of a Phantom of the Opera type of a situation.
Okay.
He's been living up there ever since the show went off the air over 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so we do the podcast remotely, Kent and Piper.
Mm-hmm. And Piper is living in Miami, I think. And she's just kind of not getting any roles. It's hard for a woman of a certain age to get work in this town. So she's living in Miami. She has a nice pool and she's constantly kind of getting different cosmetic procedures done to sort of make herself a little bit more appealing to the makers and shakers in Hollywood.
Buckle fat removal and all that.
You know, like those pictures that you see where every once in a while someone will appear like on social media or whatever, where you kind of look at them and they don't even seem human anymore.
Yeah,
because that's sort of how we picture. I think Piper is.
My face at the time.
So much work done.
Have y'all seen Tom Brady recently?
Was that
I don't even know.
What was
I don't know. I believe anything.
I saw this picture of Tom Brady where he looks like a sort
Skeletor.
Skeletor.
Yeah.
And my immediate reaction was, that's not a real picture. That's got to be
I think it was real.
Not be real.
You know, it's not real, and I wish was real. Is that picture of John Lennon and Yoko Ono's ass cracks? I really wish that was real.
There was some picture of John Lennon and Yoko Ono's ass cracks.
Yeah, you haven't seen it?
I have safe search on, so I don't see that stuff. I don't want to see that stuff. My computer filters that out. I got a special program that scans for ass cracks and stuff like that and filters it out. Blurs it out.
Is that a Chrome plugin?
Yeah, it's a Chrome plugin.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish.
How is the
acting scene? I remember what it was called.
How is the acting scene down in Miami? Is there much of a scene for that down there?
You mean up in Toronto?
Mostly theater.
Well, no, I mean for Piper.
Oh, for me,
yeah.
Bad. It's
mostly off
bad
Broadway.
Everywhere. Yeah, off Broadway. Broadway so far, it's in Miami.
Yeah, experimental theater type stuff. Live reality. Mostly, it's like in Miami they do a lot of
live reality shows. So it's theater. It's like reality TV, but it's theater. Yeah, so they'll put me and like 4 other local actors in a cage for 48 hours and just sort of we piss and shit there, and it's live and it's reality, and it's it's work.
And what they'll
it
do
is work.
They'll put that up on a rotating pedestal, and they'll pretty much inside of like a discoteca.
Sure.
Because discotecas is the main economic source of is the main kind of economic activity in Miami, and so you've got anything that's going to happen, it happens in or around the discoteca,
Yeah.
Everybody
they have
knows.
discoteca school, they have discoteca grocery shopping.
I have no reason not to believe you.
Discoteca medical boutiques, pretty much
Which is
if you
where I
can't put
spend
it in
most
a
of my
discoteca,
time.
it's gonna flounder in Miami, much like the dish that you might commonly find at a discoteca dinner.
Which
what?
would be
Flounder.
Flounder. It's a seafood.
oh, sorry, yeah.
Well, I have a question for Ben and Sarah, if I may.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna trip over myself switching back and forth between Ben and Sarah and Kent and Piper.
Well, we'll
And
just be
Crimestoppers,
ourselves. We'll just be
CrimeWatchers.
ourselves here.
Yeah.
Okay, and
ourselves.
we can talk about Kent and Piper if we need to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if you want to slip back into it, do whatever you want. It doesn't
I'm
matter.
shifting. I'm going to I'm doing that thing girls on TikTok like to do now, where they go to new realities. You know
I
what?
saw a clip
I'm
of this.
unaware of this.
I saw a clip of this, and
There's
I
this thing
thought,
called shifting,
Okay.
where people, it's kind of like, I guess, sort of like forced disassociation, where young women pretend they're at Hogwarts and
I
treat
think
it as
they
if it's
really
reality.
think they're there. It's insane.
I mean, literally, yes, I think it is. Like, I think it's like either obviously making it up for attention or like a mental problem that probably needs attention.
I saw a clip of this girl this morning
Talking about her friend,
talking about how her
sister.
or something doesn't believe she's like talking about her shifting and how I'm shifting and I'm really there. And she's like, and it's so hard because people don't get it. My sister looks at me like I'm crazy. Like, you are crazy.
Yeah,
you're not
She is one of these, like,
concerned about you.
to 1992 or whatever you're saying you did.
This
Lived in 1992.
this sort of reminds me of we talked about a story a couple months ago, maybe a couple years ago. I don't know when we talked about it, but there was this thing on TikTok where there were so many creators that would have videos talking about their stutter, and as a result, so many young kids like developed a stutter from listening to people stutter so much, and they were noticing this like upward trend in stuttering. Or was it stuttering? No, it was like tics.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Do you think that there's some level
Stolen
of just,
valor.
Yeah. Do you think that there's some level of like that with like psychosis on TikTok where enough people see
everything
Probably.
has to be, you have to be unique. You have to have like your thing. And let's be real. It's white people. It's people who need to feel oppressed in some way.
White people be shifting.
Yeah. So they'll be shifting,
That's
or
right.
they'll have their tics, or there's a girl who fakes having a scar across her face.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's
when
all
I was
this
like
stuff.
10, that would have been the
A
coolest
scar
shit
across
ever.
your face can be very cool.
It can be very cool if it's real.
Yeah.
And if it looks cool, hers looks like
Fascinating.
it's makeup. She uses like brown eyeliner all down the side of one of her faces.
We used to call
No,
it
it's
cosplay.
Yeah, it's a Zoomer. It's a Zoomer thing. I'm not sure if you really get it.
It's a Zoomer thing you wouldn't understand.
It's a Zoomer thing.
Wait, Kevin, do you have a question, for Ben and Sarah?
us.
Oh yeah, I did have a question for you. So you guys used to do another podcast, like
Yes.
you said, Please Save Me, which is also a recap show of Chicago heroes.
Yeah.
Why the part of my language shift to a new show?
Well, they're both real, to be clear.
These are both real,
Very real.
real shows that were the biggest hits of their.
Oh right, I forgot. It was my parents used to watch it. I forgot. Yeah.
Yes.
The biggest hits of their time. I saw a commercial. I was watching something, and there was a commercial for from the 60s or the 70s or something, or the 80s, one of those decades.
One of them, yeah.
Could be the 90s.
Nescafe, for Nescafe Minute Brew. And they said, Nescafe, it takes more than a second to make good coffee. And they said, Nescafe Minute Brew, it's 1 minute. It takes 1 minute to make this coffee. This is from the makers of the instant coffee. So they're sort of like cannibalizing their own thing, right? They're being like, hey, we know that we've been telling you that instant coffee is awesome and that you should buy it and you should drink it. But now, we need to grow, right? We're a business. We need to grow. So now we're going to come out with a new product where we tell you, hey, the old product actually wasn't, this one's better. Right? Like, hey, this is actually a lot like the old product, but it's better. So
but
that's
keep
my
drinking
answer.
the dirt too, if
Keep
you want
drinking
that.
instant coffee if you want, but also
here's
you can't make
some more
coffee in
slop.
instant.
Yeah.
So that's
What does that have to do with our podcast? Oh, that's our podcast.
And so that's my answer to the question of why we're doing a new Rewatch podcast.
Okay. Okay.
That's fair.
Just some different slop with takes a little bit longer to make.
And that is podcasting for you.
Well, and I would imagine, did you run out of seasons to recap of everyone's favorite TV show, Chicago Heroes?
Yeah, it just abruptly it went off the air pretty much.
Yeah, and we also got hit with a bunch of lawsuits, and we couldn't keep not opening the cease and desist letters that came in the mail. Yeah, it turns out even if you don't open mail, you still are in trouble.
If you don't want mail, I mean, mostly what we would do, we would just put it back in the mailbox.
Right. If you don't want to get it,
just put it back in the mailbox. Say, mailman. Because eventually, if the mailbox gets full, as the mailman, he just has to
take it.
He can legally keep it. And they use it and they need it too.
It's one of the perks of the job.
Yeah, they use that stuff to
sign up to be a mailman. They say, here's the benefits: healthcare, dental. You can keep some mail if you want.
Rekindling.
Yeah.
You get 5 pieces of mail a month, and you can just pick whichever ones you want.
Pick and choose. These guys are really good.
So they're constantly like shaking envelopes and boxes to be like, what is this?
Yeah, they can't look inside to pick, right? It's got to be like,
no, you can't
open
look
it.
Inside. Don't open it. You can shake it. Can't open it.
And just for the record, ACAB does include mailmans.
And explain why.
Oh no,
they're just one of the last great villains of our.
No, they're not.
Time.
We love the mail.
They think about Newman.
Who's a villain?
Yeah, he has an entry on Villains Wiki.
That's ridiculous.
He's one of the all-time villains.
Newman is got to be one of the secret protagonists of that show, right?
Is he a mailman?
Newman's a mailman.
Oh,
absolutely. He says when you control the mail, you control information.
Well, this seems in character because I've also noticed that Piper also has not seen, I guess, any television or movies or anything. He's just sitting in
paying attention. Yeah,
dark room and
doesn't watch any movies. Only writes them. Only stars in them. Only acts in them and directs them. And
why is that?
There seems to be like a back and forth going on where Piper doesn't consume anything, and then Kent Montagna. I got it. Seems to only consume things and makes very derivative art. It seems like a tete-a-tete sort of. That's ordeal.
So interesting you say that. I think they would agree with you. Piper, if you continue listening to the series, it becomes clear that Piper has not seen most things, but maybe has been lying a little bit about her commitment to not consuming media, and is actually quite influenced by a few key things that she's seen and sort of absorbed. So I
don't think Piper's lying. I think she has a lot of Quaalude blackouts.
And I think it's her reality, right?
Yeah,
it's her truth.
Yeah, I mean, it was the early 2000s. She was pretty much in a lewd haze for the whole time we were making the show. Mm-hmm. And that Kent and Piper were making the show. And I think it's a little bit like she doesn't know, it's unknown unknowns or unknown knowns or whatever. known unknowns. It's a Rumsfeld thing.
Yeah, but she loves Gone in 60 Seconds.
Loves Gone in 60 Seconds. Yeah, I mean, and that's Kent's thing is kind of, Kent's whole thing is like, hey, we saw Gone in 60 Seconds. We figured it was very popular at the time that this show was on. So like, why don't we just kind of do that for like an episode? You know, or like, oh, everybody's watching Wishbone. We're going to do an episode that's like Wishbone, or it was the 2000s. The biggest thing was like 9/11 DJ battles or 9/11.
Oh, DJ battles, yeah.
One of the two. Yeah.
So we're going to do an episode on that.
Together at the same time.
DJ battles together at the same time, along and kind of with a 9/11 sort of underpinning.
A theme about the tragedy.
It's actually kind of a motif in all of it because the show is a very post 9/11 show. It's pro cop. It's pro America.
Yeah, of that time period. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of will question, how is the show like? A lot of people have tried to say that Crimestoppers Miami was an ACAB show.
It kind of sounds like propaganda to me.
Yeah.
All Cops Are Bastards show, and we'd say because like the cops are so often not. They're not. There's sometimes people would say, "Hey, it doesn't seem like the cops are really winning. We're doing things the right way."
They're really bad at their jobs. They're kind of actually goofy and pretty bad at their jobs.
Sure.
And
so people would say that sort of has a point of view that means its creators don't like cops or something.
But we basically look at it like, we're showing kind of complex people. Real,
and we're showing exactly what it's like. We're
flawed individuals.
Yeah, we're showing you the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah,
and the goofy.
People are so complex. So I think a lot of people, like, regardless of political affiliations, can relate to the stories of these, wonderful characters that your friends have brought to life.
God,
exactly.
Stop. That's so nice of you to say. They'd love to hear that.
Well, let them know.
Kent gets his penis bit off by like a dog or something.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
that's awful.
His penis falls off and is fed to a dog on accident.
And he gets it reattached upside down.
For
and
fun.
Piper's character pretty much always wears a crotchless uniform. And I think that is provocative.
That's how he sold the show.
The show.
Is the penis getting attached upside down thing? Isn't that in a movie?
It's probably one that Kent saw, and
right.
was like,
because I was going to say there was another joke about
and were the balls upside down as well
for ants?
Yes, the balls.
And I was like, oh, that also sounds cups for ants. Like why?
Cups
like
for
something
ants.
Something
yes,
small.
Absolutely.
Sounds, I don't know, sounds derivative.
We had a whole episode where the files were inside the computer. And
they took apart a computer, banging against the wall.
Take apart a computer. We had this one episode we did where
they went to the gas station for orange mocha frappuccinos.
Yes, and we had one where the villain became the captain now.
Yes.
And we
different season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had, let me think.
Yeah, let me think. We
another
had a season
one where
Kent
go to funerals and they pick up women.
We had a whole season where I'm not in it, and Kent is by himself, stranded on an island with a volleyball that he's drawn my face on.
We did a whole season in San Diego, and it was mainly about we're actually trying to make it classy again. It was pretty much that San Diego had become déclassé, and they hired Kent and Piper's characters, whose names are Cal and Abby on Crimestoppers Miami. So you've got your Inception level kind of
levels of
And we in that season in San Diego, we were constantly drinking milk and looking at each other and saying milk was a good choice.
And speaking of which, I heard that San Diego actually means a whale's penis.
Exactly.
And now
Contrary
imagine
to
if
what-
that penis were fed to a dog and then thrown up and reattached upside down with the balls even upside down.
The balls
too.
on top so that they hang down like Princess Leia buns around the
I can see it in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, you're imagining that on a
Yeah.
whale. Perfect.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's what the show's all about. Is kind of taking really interesting concepts and making you think about them.
Now, see, I want to see this show, but I would rather listen to people talk about it. You know,
That's
Right.
so good to hear because I think that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we're banking on. You know, I mean, there's a point at which, you know, imagine you're a snake and you're hungry. What's the easiest thing for you to eat?
Your own tail.
And so that's kind of what we're doing with our whole creative enterprise.
Well, you know, it's interesting too, because I think the way that we consume media has changed over time. You know, a lot of people don't want to watch the show. They want to hear about it. You know, like you said,
Yes.
the Office ladies, we got the Sopranos podcast, Always Sunny podcast. We don't need the shows anymore.
We just need the cast of the shows gabbing about what life is like being really famous and rich.
Yes.
And, just rolling in success. And I totally agree with you. And I think that was kind of our whole, what we were banking on is like, people like the show. They like the characters. They like the plot. They like them a whole lot. But what would they like more? Probably two people who've aged and forgotten a lot about it and have kind of gotten really rich and really famous, or in Kent's case, fallen into some legal trouble and are hiding in a house on set in Toronto. But either way, people want to hear from them. They don't want to see the characters they love. That would be ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah.
To share.
Now, where can folks find this show? If anyone's curious about this whale penis crime procedural show, we can listen to people talk about.
Kent Montana's penis that was eaten by a dog.
Oh yeah, not even the character.
Oh shit!
It was the actor. It was Kent. You know, it happened. A lot of times, what'll happen is there will be, you know, Kent and Piper in the writer's room, which is mostly comprised of like Kent's cousin, who's like a drug dealer. They would like be partway through writing on the fly and filming an episode, and then something would happen that kind of throws a wrench in it, and you're like, okay, you have to adjust. You gotta change the episode. You know, a lot of times what'll happen is they'll have a guest actor or something who they can only film for 20 minutes or something like that. Like, oh, we got Mickey Rourke in an episode. We can only film him for 20 minutes. So now we're going to have to or a guy killed himself on set. We're going to have to rethink this episode and incorporate that, or whatever. Like, there's this guy.
Do you also make this show with
body is on set?
Do y'all also make the show with David Fincher? Is that correct?
That's right. The first episode was, his name is in the credits. However, I would say Kent and Piper mostly directed it. Kind of told David Fincher what to do. Yeah. Sort of breathing down his neck saying, I don't know if that's what I would do.
Well, sometimes these guys really, they need a voice in their ear. They don't know what they're doing.
Dude, these guys are,
they're not directing shit.
No, they're puppets of industry.
Truly.
And we were the industry, and we knew how it moved and shaked. And there would be a lot of big names that Kent and Piper would get to be nominally behind the camera.
Just
and what
so
they would do is
kind of put the name there.
And, sell some commercials. But they would write ironclad contracts, because a lot of times on Crimestoppers Miami, I'd say 9 times out of 10, you would have a director for hire would try to walk off set on day one.
And then we'd bring it back by putting a gun.
Put a gun to their head. I mean, you got to use what you got to use. You put a gun.
I mean, a lot of these guys are so entitled, it's like they want everything.
They do.
These Hollywood elite.
They want their name in the credits. They want to have a creative vision.
I'm cold and you're making me, it's minus 30 out.
And you're putting water on me.
It's minus 30 degrees out and you're making me wear a bathing suit.
Oh, that's when we had Ira Glass.
That's when we had Ira Glass to film. to film an audio episode.
Little different than those ivory towers they live up in. Now, where can people find this podcast, this Rewatch podcast?
Anywhere podcasts are sold. Spotify.
Press the power button on your car radio. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be blasting through Sirius XM every single channel.
Scan the dial. Anywhere.
No, it's Anchor, available in Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Apple, kind of wherever. It's
not on YouTube, which I think is where a lot of Zoomers get their podcasts.
Yeah, that's why we started putting these on YouTube and then accompanying them with video, because sometimes people want that. You look at Joe Rogan, he's on video and you go, I want to be exactly like that.
I like the way that guy looks.
I love his look.
He's oily.
I've never really been able to.
Hey guys, it's me, Joe Rogan.
He's good. Red and slick, just the way everybody wants to be.
I mean, you could find it. You can find it anywhere. And the non-ironically detached answer to your earlier question that kicked all this off is basically, I mean, you guys are podcasters. It's like people want. It's like we felt like we need to inject a fresh dose of energy, basically, into like, okay, we've done Please Save Me for years. Very steadily, and then kind of on and off. I moved to Los Angeles. I became a parent, and that made it much like. And then the pandemic happened. All that happened at once, and that made.
I remember that. Yeah.
Like all so within like a few months.
Recording the podcast, and I became a parent. Before that, I was very mysterious.
I was just going to do that.
I just came up with, I've never used that one before, but I'll use it again. And so we kind of kept thinking like over time about like, oh, maybe this idea for like would be a new spin on an old thing we did and like finally we landed on a premise that felt like it was timely because of all these other podcasts that are like rewatch podcasts by the people who were on the shows. Like this.
Right.
It seems so desperate.
Exactly.
I was trying to find a nice way of saying it and I couldn't.
There isn't one. There's no way.
Yeah. But there's also, but I suppose the positive side would be that like, just like anything you do, you pour so much of your, to give these people the benefit of the doubt. It's like you pour so much of yourself into something and you don't want to just feel like it's dead and in the past. You want to keep experiencing it. You have fans who like really like this thing is kind of like their cultural touchstone and you want to like honor that and like give them even more of that. So I get it, but there is a little part of me that's like, whoa, like you need money.
I
wish you're selling Helix mattresses. No,
I wish that there were more of those types of shows for shows that I was interested in because it's all stuff that I'm not interested in. And I do hate to knock the concept because it's like if they had that for God, I don't know what I'm trying to think like, if fucking
Oz.
Yeah.
Is that your favorite? That was your favorite show, right, Grant? Oz?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's your favorite show?
Wait, everybody say what show they want to recap podcast or a rewatch podcast.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I have to think too, but I was going to say, I remember
Lost.
I would like Halt and Catch Fire, honestly. I'm such a huge fan of
that was an AMC show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it ran 4 seasons. So there's enough like meat on the bone there.
Yeah.
And I think I have the perception, and it could be entirely inaccurate, but that I think that the people involved in it as actors, because that's who's doing these recap podcasts,
Yeah.
I think the people involved in it seem pretty.
They should do a video one with Lee Pace.
Smart.
I've never seen the show. I'd watch the podcast though.
He wouldn't fit in the frame. He's 6'5".
Big guy.
Think cameras don't go that high. Webcams can't capture guys.
That's why Joe Rogan's perfect for the medium.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm sitting down right now.
Yeah.
I think maybe like a Twin Peaks recap without
that could be cool.
Without detracting from the magic of Twin Peaks and maybe making a weird Lynchian version of a recap show about
twisting the format. Yeah,
just like making it weird and stuff like that, because it's like I don't want things like explained. I just want some sort of weird like reliving. Like I feel like that would be interesting. Well, as like the office shit, it's like, I don't know.
I do also feel like a lot of these shows, if I want to hear people talk about it, there's probably DVD commentary out there for it.
Yep.
And we don't have
like a YouTube video.
Yeah, they don't do DVD commentaries or DVDs anymore. And if they do put out physical media, it's just like, here's a bare bones package of here's the episodes because nobody's going to buy this. You're going to watch it on Hulu or Netflix or whatever. And it's just kind of funny because the further we've gotten from these like behind the scenes stuff that we stop selling, the more we're getting into like the same exact stuff, but just in podcast form.
I wonder if there's a market for some show where it's done as a podcast, but it's like a riff. It's like riff tracks, like MST3K riff track style thing, where like the design is that you press play on the podcast at the same time as you press play on the show, and that it's a commentary.
Oh yeah. I always thought some of them were like that.
Seen or heard of something like that. I don't remember.
We should do that with episodes of Please Save Me.
We should. Yeah, we should. we should do that.
Behind the scenes commentary on our podcast.
On the episode.
Wait, Kevin, you didn't pick a show.
Oh, pick a show.
You evaded the question.
Well, because I was like, the first thing I thought of was like The Simpsons, and I'm like, well, again, I have the DVDs, I can listen to the commentary. Like, I would like to. I guess I would be more interested to hear from the writers than the voice actors, but
yeah,
right.
Well, it's also like you get the DVD commentary at a very specific point in time. I think there's something about like 10 years, 20 years after the fact where you're getting like a little bit more retrospective or probably a little bit more honest, like. Recap of it. That's why I pick Lost.
Yeah, because
I'm mostly interested in hearing other people talk about it. You know, I mean, I think that's what it really kind of gets down to. Like, is like
Cinema Sins guy.
You know, I'm interested in Cinema
Movie
Sins
Bob
guys.
Oh boy,
talking about what's wrong with something.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I do. Like, I know that YouTube is like way oversaturated with video essays and video essayists, but like, there's plenty of people out there who I enjoy listening to them talk about stuff like that, and they have nothing to do with making that piece of media or content.
Right, totally.
And yeah, Ben, to your point, I almost would rather hear them talk about it than like the people who made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's like, what's like the David Lynch quote where it's, I mean, it got memed. It was in some interview or whatever, you know, he's like, you know,
if you watch my movie on a phone,
it's like people, whenever I make a film, people ask me to talk about it. The film is the talking.
Oh, I love when Kermit the Frog said that.
The film is the talking.
And Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I didn't know Jordan Peterson was in
he had a bit role in
come on, that was
Highway.
I get it. Let me think here. I can do a Jordan I can do a Jordan
You just did a Jordan Peterson.
That was not a Jordan
Peterson. We want David
Lynch.
You got to be a little more
yelly. The film
yelly.
is the talking. The film is the talking. I don't know.
Was that Jordan Peterson?
No, that
you gotta sound like you're crying.
Jordan Peterson would be
if
like,
you watched my movie on a phone, you didn't watch my fucking movie.
Jordan Peterson, wouldn't he be like, whenever I make a film, people ask me to talk about it. Like, no, how does he fucking talk? He would say,
here, wait, hold on. I can do a
You're
really
doing your
good
Daily Guy voice a little bit. Michael Barbaro.
I got to think about it for a moment here.
Would people?
No, come on, that's not him.
Whoa!
I'm trying to emulate crying so that I can get into character. I'm trying to force myself to cry so that I sound. No, I can't do it. I can't.
You had it for a second there.
I had it. I lost it. It's difficult. It's hard to talk like that and cry at the same time. Honestly, he's a very talented man.
Only he can do it. Yeah. There can only be one. Ben, are you working on it?
They've, something that no one is talking about is that they've sold the Club Crackers company Keebler has sold the Club Crackers company and they've changed the recipe. And Club Crackers used to be something that you could count on. They were nutritious, they were satisfying, they were buttery, and they were delicious. And that social contract has been broken.
It's something like
that.
Something like that.
Yeah, he's a little Irish, but he was good.
Well, there's a little bit of a brogue to the Canadian accent.
There is a little bit. Yeah.
Tough,
like the sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
okay. All I had to do was say sorry a few times, and then I could have slipped into the Jordan Peterson
would never say sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, but it's no,
that's not true. He said
the spinning top in the Inception. It's like the thing that you hold on to. It's like a
totem.
A totem. It's a totem. Is saying, if you need to get into a Canadian accent, saying sorry is your totem.
Mm-hmm.
Au contraire, but one of Jordan Peterson's most famous tweets of all time is him saying, sorry, not beautiful.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So he has, in fact.
Yeah. I love every
He'll
time
type
we have a big discourse about whether fat people can be hot.
Whether
it's
they
always
can
fun.
exist in a public space.
Yeah, and whether or not they're allowed to wear underwear or do yoga.
Get back
It's
inside.
always fun. Yeah.
People
I like
ask
that
me,
stuff.
do I
it's
want
cool.
to eat club crackers made by the Ferrero Rocher company? Sorry, not buttery.
That's nice.
That's my whole thing now.
That's nice.
They changed the Bisco or Keebler. Or
yeah, I know that's your whole thing.
Club
that's
cracker.
Good. I feel like there's a lot of those sort of.
We're getting screwed.
I feel like there's a lot of those sort of non sequitur bits that are sort of written into y'all's show. How much of that is like, because obviously we don't know what we're doing. We planned none of this out. We were just like, yeah, let's
don't be so humble. Don't be so humble.
Don't look at
you clearly listened to an episode of the podcast.
Don't look at the Google Doc. There's nothing written on the Google Doc. It's just I wrote the same sentence over and over. But obviously this is loose. This is whatever. We got rid of the format. We got rid of the questions. We're just some people in 4 different rooms on a YouTube.
I can't. I don't know if you guys saw that clip of Eddie Redmayne's performance in that movie he was in this year, The Good Nurse.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, I see it. I've seen him throw a fork or something.
Yeah, there's this scene where he's getting, it's kind of this climactic scene where he's being confronted over being the perpetrator of this
being a bad nurse.
And he won't talk about it. And he repeats the, I can't, like screaming it in this interview room like 20 times. He's like, I can't. And he's like looking at the guy. And I just had seen that clip right before we started doing the podcast.
Uh-huh.
And when you said that your Google Doc is one sentence repeated over and over, I
was thinking The Shining,
just like The Shining.
Yeah.
Just this.
Dude, Eddie Redmayne is such a good actor, but he scares the shit out of me. I don't.
Oh, this scene is.
I don't like looking at him or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little unsettling for sure.
Yeah. But I think to sort of figure out what your question was, it was how much goes into like the making of the podcast and what. Yeah. So Ben and I will sit down beforehand and we we'll plug in our mics and just let her rip. No, we do an outline.
Bad formula. Bad idea.
No, it's not. We do an outline of the episode.
A lot of babies have been hurt by that.
Yeah, plug her in and let her rip.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Bad formula.
Go ahead.
So we'll do an outline of the episode that we are recapping or rewatching, and we'll give it all the beats and stuff really loose, just like this is what it's about. This is what happens. This is act 1, act 2, act 3, act 4, whatever. But giving it enough guardrails that we can sort of follow a story and a plot, but making it loose enough that we can inject whatever bullshit we want. We'll do a little research on what was going on in the world at the time the episode ostensibly aired. Mm-hmm. We'll make up some things that also happened in the world at the time that the episode aired. And we'll write those down. And that's about it. Isn't that about it, Ben?
It's about a page.
Yeah, it's about a page of prep.
So all that is about one page worth of writing.
So that's a lot less than writing an actual TV show.
Much less,
I mean,
yes.
And it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Well, it might hurt the product, but it doesn't hurt how much work we have to put into it, that every act of an episode of Crimestoppers Miami was it was revolutionary at the time for Kent. You know, Kent and Piper wrote a show where there was pretty much one scene per act. And it was the biggest show on TV in the 2000s. Everybody was so coked up. I mean, they didn't have the attention, viewers even, I mean, coke was the biggest thing at that time. And they didn't have the attention span to watch a show that had more than one scene per act.
Yeah, you think TikTok is bad. It was even worse in the early 2000s when everybody was on coke.
We've come so far, yeah.
Yeah.
And, Benny's and...
Now you can watch a 2-hour video essay about all the problems with Avatar, Way of Water, or whatever.
Thank God. I hope that video essay is as long as Avatar 2, The Way of Water.
It could be longer.
If we're lucky.
I guarantee there's one that's longer.
Than 2 hours, than a longer...
Like longer than the movie itself. I guarantee it's out there.
Yeah.
I cannot... I actually am the culprit of our attention span disordered culture. I think I could simply not watch a 1 hour YouTube video. There's just no way. It's
just it's a good passive thing to have on. You don't have to pay super close attention to it, but it feels like you're in the room with somebody, which is nice.
I mean, I assume it's the same as listening to a podcast, which is what I do all the time.
Yeah.
I can't walk from one room to another without turning on a podcast just to make sure my friends are with me.
Yeah. And I used to feel bad about that because I'm the same way, Sarah. I used to feel bad that I would be brushing my teeth and doing dishes. And why do I always have to be listening to people talk about something, But then I'm like, do I really want to be left with my own thoughts in these times?
Right.
Not really.
My therapist actually told me I need to be better about doing that and be better about being alone with my own thoughts.
I think they might be wrong.
I disagree.
I think they're I
think that there's times and places. I feel like if you're going on a nice contemplative nature walk, that sometimes that's you don't want musings,
the distraction,
stuff like that.
Yeah, totally.
But
doing the dishes though, it's just I want my buddy in my ear talking about what they ate.
Well, I've trained myself not to be able to. Yeah.
Ben's on a higher plane, I think. Than
I disagree vehemently. No. I just want to, in case anyone clips this out or whatever, I want to make sure it's on the record that I disagree vehemently. I'm very bad at doing it, though. I'm exactly the same as all the rest of you.
All right, that's fair.
I mean, it's bad. I do, but it's there's been time. It was better when I used to be better at this. I've been rewatching The Irishman over the course of about 2.5 days.
Oh,
it's a long one.
Watching it whenever I'm doing other stuff. So it's all right, I watch 5 minutes of it on my phone while I'm eating a bowl of yogurt. Mm-hmm. And then I'm watching 15 minutes of it while I'm doing the dishes. And then I'm,
just as
I've never
intended.
Watched a movie on my phone outside of being on a plane.
You know what? I think part of it has to do with being, a parent now and stuff. It's just in terms of my time and going around the house taking care of stuff.
Totally.
All right, well, I can either be. It's kind of if I'm gonna watch a movie, I'm either gonna, or sometimes the choice, especially if it's something I'm rewatching. Usually, I'm not watching something new that.
Yeah.
But something that you're rewatching, you can kind of similar to as you're talking about YouTube or something where you're not really looking at it all the time.
Right.
You can kind of...
You're passively consuming it or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It gets me to want to do chores. It's I got to do the dishes. It's I can listen to the new Doughboys.
Yeah. Love Doughboys.
Yeah.
Well, I am lucky enough to have trained myself mentally not to be able to fall asleep with silence because all the bad thoughts come flooding into my head. So I put on a YouTube video and just hope that I fall asleep by the time it's done. No, I can't do that either. It has to be talking, and it has to be certain types of talking, something where I can sort of pay attention and then I don't realize that I'm falling asleep and then I just black out.
Fortunately, that is not a problem.
Grant, have you tried melatonin?
Yeah, it's still I need it because it's probably just a mental disorder. It's one of those things where it's I need the noise and I need the mental distraction because then you get anxious, and even if I'm tired, you can work yourself up into oh, I'm gonna die one day, and you're shit, I gotta get up, I gotta move around, I gotta do dishes.
No, you're not.
You're right, never mind.
You know what has helped me with
medical advancements are tremendous.
Yeah,
I mean, they're doing the stuff that they're doing with vitamins these days is incredible. They got like.
Have you guys seen Tom Brady recently? He looks great.
Yeah, he looks awesome and has not fucked up anything in his life at all.
Well, and because what part of it is it that, you know, if you think about it, what part of it is it that dies? It's the flesh. And so if you don't have it anymore, then
that's why I
can watch movies all the time.
It's
my soul, park my soul in front of a flat screen. I'm ready. I do read books before bed, and that's been helpful to me.
Now, Sarah.
That's so true.
So, yeah.
All TVs are flat screens, but not all flat screens are TVs.
Oh, now you got me thinking.
Yeah, iPhone flat screen, not a TV.
I'm looking around. I'm seeing flat screens everywhere.
I know. We're in a flat screen dominated culture. Grant, I was going to say to you, before bed, I have started reading.
See, I'll also do that, and then I'll close the book and be like, okay, time for sleep, and then be like,
oh, I read until like I cannot keep my eyes open to read another word, and then I just like, if I usually fall asleep with it like on my chest, or I like slip the bookmark in or whatever and roll over. You gotta read until you simply cannot keep your eyes open.
What are you reading?
I'll try.
What am I reading?
Yeah.
I just finished
hot shot.
I just finished Milk Fed by Melissa Broder, which is like one of the horniest, grossest, most romantic books I've ever read. And I just started The Old Place by Bobby Finger, a fellow podcaster. He does a podcast Who Weekly.
What are you talking about?
Huh?
The Old Place by a guy named Bobby Finger?
Yeah. It's real. It's so real. He's a far more successful podcaster than any of us will ever be. And he's great.
Bobby
Finger.
Bobby, and she's all
looking around the room.
By Bobby
Crentist?
Finger? Yeah.
Well, you put her on the spot, so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Old Place.
Is that a novel?
It is a novel, yeah.
Mm.
I'm trying not to read any nonfiction at the moment.
Sounds a little like our friend Grant.
Yeah.
What?
It sounds a little like our friend Grant, a podcaster writing a novel.
Nonfiction.
That's true.
I'd be working on one.
And it's about man versus himself.
It's about a guy that nobody steal my idea. Apparently, if you start writing something, you already have the copyright to it. I don't know if that holds up in court or not, but
definitely.
That's true.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't have to register a copyright to have copyright protection.
I believe that is true. Because if it's like your creation.
I know you're being serious. I just never knew that.
Yeah.
So every single thought I have in like my notes app or something, if somebody came out with a piece of writing that was like, I need to eat 3 hard-boiled eggs every day or else I'll die, and they made a bunch of money off of it, and I prove that actually that's been in my notes app and all my Twitter drafts for ages, and actually I've written it down probably 100 times, I could sue them.
You'd have to prove that they took it from you.
Oh.
Well, that's
because parallel thinking holds up in court.
Parallel thinking is like a legal term.
Well, I mean, like it holds up that, like, be reasonable. I mean, your example,
right?
They couldn't have come up with that. But if it was something
nobody could come up with something like that.
Then,
so as an example, the thing that I'm working on is like a book about like a guy that like is telling the reader that he's invisible, and I don't really clarify whether he is or not. Like, it's either like, oh, this is a weird fantasy world, or this guy's fucked up in the head and thinks he's invisible walking around and shit like that. Now, like the idea of like, oh, it's a book about an invisible guy is like, yeah, parallel thinking can happen. But if it's like this happens and then this happens and then this happens, and it's like, I've been working on this since last May or whatever.
Yeah.
If someone would have like the same plot structure and same like characters and stuff like that, it'd be like, wow.
Yeah, that reminds me of like, I talked about this in the show a few months ago, but like Joel Haver did that Charmin Bears like sketch on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then SNL did the same sketch, like beat for beat for beat for beat, the same. And it was like, sure, parallel thinking, but there was like way too many specifics that were like exactly the same.
Yeah, and the jokes down to the T and
trouble
shit.
a lot for that, or
it seems like they do, but this was like by far the most egregious example I've ever seen. Like it was like, yeah, and like he did a video. He wasn't like pissed about it really, but he was like, oh, I have to like address like. Sure, maybe it's some coincidence, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. Like he wasn't a dick about it, but at the same time, I guess he easily could have been. You know?
Yeah, totally. But it's I think that's probably the correct approach to not be like I'm gonna sue Lorne Michaels or whatever. Like
the thumbnail is like, so I'm suing.
The thumbnail is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Like every
Beast.
possible. Yeah.
Although also at the same time, I mean, just sue them. Oh, go ahead.
What is up with the Charmin Bears?
What is with the Charmin Bars, and have they gone woke?
Yeah, let's riff on this.
And have they gone too woke?
Yeah,
What's
I mean,
woke about them?
Easily,
is there a different color of Charmin Bear? A different gender of Charmin Bear? Or is it just
toilets in general are political? So
yeah, my gas powered toilet. I love my gas powered toilet, and you can pry it out of my cold dead hands.
Cold dead ass.
Yeah, you can pry my toilet out of my cold dead ass.
Dead ass, no cap.
No cap.
For
Sheesh.
Real. Jesus.
Wait, why were you saying 30. That Charmin Bears have gone woke?
I don't know anything about it. I was asking if is that what happened?
I don't know a thing about it.
Not yet.
I think it's important. I just think it's important to check in.
They made the mom bear less sexy.
What's stayed normal.
To me, there's no such thing as a sacred cow. And if you identify something that the culture is treating like a sacred cow, like a Charmin bear, I think it's important to check in with, has it gone woke? You know, like another example, Barbie, there's a Barbie movie coming out. Has Barbie gone woke? Lego, I was at the Lego store the other day. I was walking around. One question in my head. I'm looking for evidence. I'm a detective. Has Lego gone woke?
Right.
Can I tell you?
So I'm looking for pronouns.
Can I tell you one of the funniest texts Ben has ever sent me?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
If you want to post it, you can.
Yeah, and you can take this out if Ben you don't like this, but we were texting
fishing out of a barrel for that one.
Wait.
Take your pick. Take your pick.
They're all funny. But one of the ones that really stuck with me was we were talking about the new Barbie movie. I don't know how it came up. You were just like, I said, it just sucks that like this is like where we're at or whatever. And you go, Barbie is one of the worst inventions of all time, except maybe guns. I thought that was
did I say that really? Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, it's bad. Really Barbie's bad, dude.
Yeah.
Barbie's not good.
No, Barbie is not good.
Well, first of all, it's for girls, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Is this where we wanted to kind of insert sort of like the question that everybody's going to sort of have go viral on social media where we ask whether women should live or die?
Yeah, this would be the time for that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And what do you guys think?
Well, you got to look at both sides.
It is a complex question.
Yeah. I mean,
many people treat it as such.
Yeah. On one hand, I can see a case for them living.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If they die, you put them out of their misery.
Yeah, they don't have to dwell the earth with guys anymore.
And everything is pretty bad now. So, I mean, you kind of be doing them a favor, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually classist to not want to kill women.
Barbie's like the one thing they have, and it's going woke.
And how is it going woke? Is it because they cast one of the most beautiful women in the world to play her in a movie?
You just know that with a movie like this, it's going to be all.
Oh, they're going to show her driving, if that's what you mean. They're going to show her driving a little car.
You know, if
maybe she'll have a job, which would freak me out to think about.
If a girl reads, pretty soon she starts thinking. That's from Beauty and the Beast, original Beauty and the Beast. There's Gaston makes a joke about girls, like women shouldn't read. Pretty soon they start thinking or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Beauty and the Beast has gone woke. They don't have that joke in there in the new one, the live action one.
Because the live action one went woke.
You went too
right.
woke.
They also made look who's gay in that one. And they showed that he was gay because one time he looked at Gaston a little too long, and that's how you know.
Well, I saw the Chinese cut, so that wasn't in there.
Yeah, they took those 5 seconds
that's
out.
That's what I'll do often with a lot of these woke new movies is I'll download the Chinese cut. I haven't figured out how to make subtitles work. So I'll watch these new movies. I don't know what they're saying, but I can rest confident that I'm not going to see anything that'll offend.
And then you're not going to have to throw it in the trash afterwards.
Sensibilities.
Yeah.
You know.
You sleep soundly at night, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grant, you should try that.
Maybe I will. I feel like that is a sort of a thing where I am noticing a lot of like the anti-woke crowd sort of loop back around to like authoritarian China, just like, yeah, no, it's a strong national state with a sense of identity. And all the shit that I said about communism, like, well, they're doing it different over there. Like, it's actually fine there. Whatever China and Russia are doing, which are two different systems of economy and two like vastly different like landscapes and everything, like they're fine. And it's like, how did we loop back around to this? Is it that horseshoe?
I mean, what you got to remember is that these people that I was just tending to be one of are the stupidest. They're the stupidest people in the world.
That is something that you have to remember every time you try to engage with this kind of stuff.
Incredibly dumb people. You know,
I'll have this
they
conversation
don't know
with
what Marxism is. I mean, they don't know the first thing about what Marxism is.
Nor do they care.
It sounds
scary. A bunch of words that sort of to them all just mean the same thing that doesn't have.
They all just mean bad.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, I hear
to me.
I hear Marx, I hear angles. I'm thinking, what is this math class? What are we doing? Geometry?
Yep.
Are those geometry guys? Big guys in geometry too?
Angles.
Just Marx,
angles. Marx,
angles. Marx is a big math term. Marx and angles.
You know,
Marx and angles.
Mark. I'm just nodding along. Yeah.
About Marx 102 in college.
Okay, class, we're doing
you're marking
Marx
the page.
Today.
Yeah,
we're going to be studying Marx today.
When you write everything in tallies, you're making Marx.
Exactly, yeah. Marx and Engels.
And what about Luke's and John's is what I'm wondering.
That's the question on everybody's lips.
Marx, Engels,
Luke and
Marx,
John.
Engels, Luke's and Sean's is what it sounded almost like you said. Sean's. That song, damn all these beautiful girls. Who sings that?
There's a tweet that goes viral once every 2 seconds. That's like a girl so beautiful that guy wanted to kill himself.
That's the tweet.
That's the tweet.
A girl so beautiful that guy wanted to kill himself.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. Or
that's the whole thing. What
is there like a picture to accompany it or
no?
No, that's it.
I mean,
Sean
that is
Kingston.
what I was. Thank you, because you said John's, but I thought you said Sean's, and it made me think of Sean Paul, but I knew his name wasn't Sean Paul because Sean Paul is Temperature, but I couldn't think of the guy who
one of our greatest songs of all time. I love Temperature.
All the time, would I be keeping you warm? And
I love that song.
But he says they make me suicidal, which is an insane lyric.
That's okay. So there's a tweet that goes
really
viral every 4
lyric.
seconds. That's like, that song Beautiful Girl is crazy because it's all about how somebody is so pretty. Sean Kingston wants to kill himself. And it goes fucking crazy. Viral every time.
And it should. Because we don't talk about it. No one's talking about it.
Everybody's talking about it. That's my problem.
I'm going to tweet this out right now and see how many likes I
try it out.
Killing himself.
Yeah, give it a shot.
No one is discussing.
I bet you it'll be at 1 million likes by the end of this podcast.
That's what Twitter is. It's just like think about something for like a few seconds longer than normal and then post your observation and see what happens.
Yeah.
Or it's copy paste somebody else's observation and hope enough time has passed.
We need to talk about what that guy did in Love Actually was actually not love.
We need to talk about it. Nobody does that anymore, really. Like the claps between the clap emoji.
No, but somebody would say it, and somebody would still say louder for the people in the back.
Oh, yeah.
You do have to be repeating yourself.
Yeah. Let me be clear.
Grant, while you post this future viral tweet, Sarah and Ben, can you let our listeners know where they can find you guys on the internet?
I have scrubbed my entire identity from online as of this recording.
Fair, understandable.
No, I haven't. I have a Twitter. It's Sablah, SABLAAH. You can find me there. You can find me there. I don't have really anything else to say.
That's really hard to SABLAAH. Sablah Real Monsters. You can find me
90s kids. Look at that one.
Twitter at Limitless Jest. I'm not, and that is Limitless.
And is that a reference to something?
That's like Limitless, which is about the indomitable human spirit.
And Adderall, yeah.
Jest, which is about
take the red pill, right?
I put a mirror up to the powerful with my stuff. You know, I mean, for me, the question is always, whenever I'm thinking about doing anything, it's it's not how does this make me look good? It's not how does this be funny? It's how is this true? And is it true in a way that's scary? And if the answer to that is yes, then I'll put it up. You know, Limitless Jest. I'm not Limitless Jest on Facebook. Somebody made a page for that after I think I got a little bit bigger on Twitter or whatever. I didn't think about trying to snap that up. Someone also did that on Instagram. And I think they did it on Reddit too. So,
damn that.
So I'm not Limitless Jest on any of those other places because it didn't really occur to me that I.
But if you really want to, you can find him
other places. And they're not doing anything with it either. The Facebook page, they like put up like a couple videos or something, and they put like a.
Oh, this is real.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding.
Somebody made a Limitless Jest.
Yeah, someone made my username. They put it up on like YouTube, or I might have it on YouTube. I don't remember, but they put it up on other social media, but they didn't like put anything up on it, you know?
Oh yeah. What was that one video you guys did? The one gotta go. I really like that. Where can people watch that at?
YouTube.
Yeah, they can
YouTube.com, .gov?
Yeah, .com.
.com.
We're working on getting on .gov.edu, .xxx.
We're trying to buy whitehouse.com to host our video that we made.
Yeah. Because everybody needs to see it. It's just a splash
page. You go to whitehouse.com. It's autoplay our video.
And you can't turn it off.
No, until it's done.
You can't turn it off.
It's done 5 times.
It has a packet in it. Like when you play it, it sends a packet to your computer.
Ketchup packet?
Yeah, it's like a ketchup packet. It sends
it's late night writers packet.
And it splatters your shit.
Yeah.
It covers it in chop. And none of your shit works until the video's done playing.
Yeah.
And then it sends another cleanup packet.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want to check out One Gotta Go, it's really fun. We had a great time making it. And
One Gotta Go is a short that we made that takes place all within a computer screen. It's about a meme, about a One Gotta Go meme.
We all know that one, yeah.
We all know and love it, honestly.
Comes to life and haunts the viewer or the protagonist. You know, just like, and we came up with that, the idea of the protagonist, and
that was kind of our idea of.
That was you guys, yeah.
What if there was the hero's journey? Sort of an audience proxy. Like, what if a story had a main person in it instead of being about a million different people all kind of doing one small thing?
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. Otherwise, and
it's not necessarily like the good guy; it's just the guy.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan, he sampled it for his thing.
Tenet.
He flipped it.
What'd you say his first name was?
Christopher Nolan.
Oh, you said Chris. I thought you called him like Justin Nolan for no reason. Just get his wrong name. Get his name wrong. Jesus,
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, he looked at it. He went, let me, yeah. And he flipped it and reversed it. And he said he took pro opposite his aunt. He made an antagonist. But anyway, yeah, we made that video and now
love it.
Yeah. We're trying to get we're writing we've written and we're rewriting a feature that's like works kind of the same way, that all takes place within a computer screen, and maybe one day we'll sell that or make it. Or
yeah, I feel like now is the time for that, because I feel like there's a lot of like hit movies coming out now that are very much like products of the digital age.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Bring it to A24. Just be like, hey, it's weird. It's on a computer, and they go, yeah.
Yeah, we can't. We're both 20, or we're both 35, so we can't.
Yeah,
that's
you
fair.
have to be a 24-year-old to
even pitch them,
to even make a movie there or pitch them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Toni Collette was 24 when she shot Hereditary.
She looks great.
It looked awesome.
Yeah, that's it. That's it
from us.
Cool.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely check that out. Check out One Gotta Go. And we'll get to some listener voicemails here. I think we got one good one that's worth playing. Our number is 312-788-7361. Again, that's 312-788-7361. Or you can always send us an audio file to thoughtcopspodcast@gmail.com.
Hit it.
Hello, Thought Cops. Now, Kevin, I'd like to start by saying, great job wearing the Yu Yu Hakusho t-shirt.
You got it.
Before he even played the message about me saying, talk more about Yu Yu Hakusho. That was really outstanding stuff. I'm very proud of you for that. However, I was listening to the episode you were doing with Alex P-Pack, and I noticed at the very beginning you were saying to have less Family Guy references in conversation. And I just want to say, I know I said that thing about The Simpsons, but I feel like you're overcorrecting here. No need to throw out the baby with the bathwater, Just some food for thought. All right. Call me back.
Okay, now what he's alluding to.
No, I understood all of it.
Yeah, so for Ben and Sarah, I'm swearing off Family Guy this year. I think that I ironically reference it too much, to the point where I have seen people like, what was it, Aaron Klopfer was on the episode last week.
Yeah, he was also on
Love
the episode
Aaron.
last year, but also
and he thought.
week.
He was like, wait, you don't like Family Guy? And I was like, oh, I had a crisis. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't like
it's
it.
pretty funny.
Yeah, what's wrong with liking Family Guy?
That's pretty funny.
American treasure.
I will not allow myself to be irony poisoned by this, because we have this whole running bit about like, what
if you
Family
just
Guy,
liked it?
I'll admit that at one point in time I did like it.
What if you just let yourself enjoy something?
I can't, and I'm going to put it behind me, because too often have I, gone to that well,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's if you log on Twitter, that's like everything is like Family Guy funny moment, Family Guy funny moment.
Always talking about Family Guy.
They can't stop. They can't
Everybody's
stop.
talking about, can fat people exist in public in Family Guy, and which is interesting because nobody ever questions whether or not Peter Griffin
They can be in cartoons.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's the loophole. Yeah.
That's the loophole.
So like he said, maybe he thinks I was overcorrecting. He seems to think that I talk about The Simpsons too much, which I don't think I do. I know I mentioned I would like to listen to a Simpsons rewatch podcast, of which there are many out there that I apparently don't listen to. But I just think that, okay, we'll just say for the record, I'm cutting down on referencing TV sitcoms featuring animated families.
I think you could keep it up with The Simpsons. And here's what I'll say why. It's a selfish reason, which is that I have recently just started watching The Simpsons for the first time in my life.
Interesting.
And so now it's fun for me to get to hear references to it and understand them and say, I know what that means now.
If not you, then who?
Exactly.
Makes you think.
Futurama is found family. So you could do a whole Futurama thing.
That's a good point, Ben. Yeah, I could still. Yeah. Well, okay. Brian.
It's a queer show. It's, found family story.
Well, I'll steer clear from like Fry and Professor Farnsworth because, of course, they're, very distant relatives, but still related. But like Bender, Dr. Zoidberg and all their friends, I could still touch on that. And I'll still touch on The Simpsons when I feel like it's appropriate. But Family Guy, that's a hard stop for me. I think that.
Yeah, I would miss if the podcast didn't have its Homer moment every single week.
I know people really would hate that, and I know like we have our banner image on Twitter is the wonderful artwork of all of us drawn in Family Guy style by Mimi Ori. That's staying. That's not going anywhere. I love that piece, but I just think as an artist, I have to. You have to
grow.
I have to grow. Yeah,
but I will say, since because on the show we just like. Oh, we do an episode and somewhere in the middle I go, or something, or we go, okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And, some reference, oh, remember that time when blah, blah, blah. And we just do like a one-off thing. But Kevin, I've noticed that since you've said I swear off talking about Family Guy, we've been talking about it nonstop and people keep leaving voicemail saying, oh, you're really just not going to talk about Family Guy.
Well,
and now we've been talking about Family Guy for like 15 minutes. We could have just did a Peter Griffin laugh and closed out the episode.
Well, you quit drinking, you go to AA, you talk about drinking.
That's right.
Peter Griffin Anonymous.
This
PGA
banner art is actually really nice.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. I have a T-shirt with it. That's how much I like it.
Sick. Yeah, it's really cool. Mm-hmm. So I think you should just keep talking about it, if only for that reason, to
we shall
justify
see
the art that you have on your Twitter.
And this guy asked you to call him back. And are you going to do that?
Oh, I missed that. I missed that.
Should Ben and I call him back?
I'll call him. I'll call him right now.
He said, "Call me back." That's what he said right at the end. Call me back.
Because when someone calls you on Google Voice, like who it's from is like the phone number. So we have your phone number and we can call you.
So is this just a guy who calls in every week?
No, not every week.
2 or 3 times.
Okay,
I think.
A lot of phones.
I just noticed you didn't have really anything to say to your guests.
Yeah, that was a little bit selfish. I'm going to get him on the line right now, or at least try to.
Yeah, I want him to have a question.
And I want to know where he's from, because this guy, he sounded like he might be from Boston or New Jersey or New York. He had a little bit of East Coast thing going on. His voice. I wanted to talk to you about the podcast.
Pick up, come on.
Saying some stuff. You've been talking about The Simpsons a lot.
All the writers on The Simpsons went to Harvard.
If it's his like voicemail, don't cut that. I don't. I'll cut that out. Actual voicemail saying, "Hey, this is my name" at whatever.
An automated voice messaging system.
Wait, I fucking tried. Message. I wanted to say,
the phone
next time you call in this fucking podcast, have a question for the guests.
I'll text him. I'll text him every day.
We tell them to do that. We say, "Hey, ask."
I know. I saw it. I retweeted it.
Yeah.
Also, I just realized now this guy has my phone number.
Wait, is your phone number the call-in number? No, it's not.
No, we have a separate. No. That's not my number. I did call him from my personal cell phone.
Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you?
This is an abuse of power.
Why don't you cut the whole thing where we tried calling him back, and then when he listens to the episode, he won't even know that you tried calling him back.
That's true.
And so he won't know that it wasn't just a junk call.
It feels disingenuous. I might keep it in. I'll think about it.
Actually, you should call him again right now and let us leave. I'll leave a voicemail together saying, this is not Kevin's actual phone number, by the way.
Yeah. I know you're trying to sleep.
You should text him, be like,
I'll do an extended warranty thing for him.
Yeah, we'll do an extended warranty thing. Ben and I will do our patented extended warranty bit.
What was this guy's name? Sean? Hey, Sean.
Sean Kingston. Sure. Do you ever kill yourself because a girl was so beautiful?
Let's see how that tweet's doing.
Not good.
Is it doing numbers, Grant?
Not good at all. It's got, let's see how many numbers. It's got 9 numbers.
The only thing that matters now is views.
285 views, 2 retweets, 7 likes. I'm getting ratioed left and right here.
Wait, Grant, refresh your feed.
That could still go view roll.
Yeah, it's all about going view roll.
I forgot about going view roll.
View roll.
How could I forget?
Viral.
Zero likes, 0 retweets, 1 billion views is the best metric in my opinion.
Brutal.
Sometimes
Absolutely
I'll put a
brutal.
video on TikTok and it'll get like 100 or 200 views and like 1 like, and I'll just take it down. I'm just like, 100 people saw this and nobody liked it. I'm devastated.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
on TikTok,
absolutely.
oftentimes I'll post something and 3 people will see it and nobody will like it, and I'll take it down because I'm just so used to playing by my Twitter rules. But then I left one up the other day and it got like 150 likes, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like you have to kind of like let people actually see.
You gotta wait a little bit.
Yeah, and the algorithm like takes sometimes for videos like months. Like a video will get no views and then just like pop off like 3 months later, and you're like, what the fuck?
Oh, so I
It
should
doesn't make
delete them
sense.
after a day and then deciding that
I
I'm
still
really
do it
embarrassed
because
by it.
I'm very self-conscious, but yeah, typically
I'm
you
embarrassed
shouldn't.
about everything I create the second I put it out in the world.
Yeah.
Speaking
one
of,
thing that I want your listeners to take away from this, I want them to start using the word view roll.
View roll.
Trying to make it happen.
And also listen to my podcast, which does not apply to the rule of being embarrassed by everything I create the second I put it out.
Yeah, absolutely. CrimeWatchers, we would love for it to go view roll, which is where you download it. We don't care if you
subscribe to it, but you never listen to it.
You play it. No, just play it all the way through and just let it be there. You don't have to like it or whatever. Although
Just
rate it
juice
and review it 5
Yeah.
stars. Kevin, you were going to say something.
oh yeah, I was just going to say, speaking of things that are not embarrassing, if that inspired you, give us a call, 312-788-7361, or send us an audio file to thoughtcopspodcast@gmail.com. You can also support the show over at patreon.com/thoughtcops, get a backlog of bonus content, and be a part of the live episode chats. I want to give a thank you to one of our older patrons this week, Craig W., who's been a patron since September of 2021. Thank you, Craig.
Craig, we love you.
Yeah.
Way to go, Craig. That's
You-
awesome.
You the man. You the man. Oh, yeah. Also, give us a call. Maybe I'll call you back. If you leave me a voicemail, maybe I won't. If you guys don't want that, I won't call you.
Call him back.
But if you want me to call you back, say call me back at the end. Otherwise, I won't.
Sounds right. Sounds fair.
I was going to say that seems fair.
You're nothing
Ben,
but fair and just.
I would like to think so. Ben and Sarah, thank you guys so much for coming back on the show. Happy to have you.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
And thanks you everybody
Likewise.
for listening to the show. I will see you on the other side.
I'll see you also on the other side.